My 17-year-old daughter spent an entire Saturday cooking a full birthday dinner for my mother, from scratch. 6 dishes, a cake she'd practiced twice before getting right. My mother took one look at the table and said, "We'll celebrate at the restaurant instead," and walked out the door. She had no idea who was supposed to be eating that dinner with us instead. If you've ever watched someone dismiss a kid's effort without a second thought, hit subscribe, because this story has a turn you won't see coming. Tell me in the comments the most thoughtful thing a young person in your life has ever done that went unappreciated. I read every comment. Now, let me tell you about my daughter Ivy and why that dinner mattered more than my mother ever bothered to ask. My name is Renee Foster. I'm 44, and my daughter Ivy has wanted to be a chef since she was 9 years old. The kind of specific, stubborn dream that never wavered, even as her friends cycled through a dozen different ambitions. By 17, she'd taught herself techniques from cookbooks and online classes that most culinary students don't encounter until their second year of formal training. Her bedroom walls were covered in handwritten note recipes and taped up photos of plated dishes she'd made and remade until she got them right. My mother, Carol, had never once asked to taste any of it. Carol has always had a particular blind spot when it comes to Ivy, one that took me years to fully name out loud. My older brother's kids play competitive soccer and get mentioned at every family gathering, trophies photographed and circulated in group texts. Ivy's cooking, meanwhile, got treated the way you'd treat a mildly inconvenient hobby, something to be managed rather than celebrated. "She'll grow out of it," Carol said once, when Ivy was 14 and had just won a regional youth cooking competition. "Restaurants are such an unstable business, Renee. I hope you're steering her towards something more practical." I'd stopped arguing the point years earlier, mostly because arguing with my mother about what counted as a real accomplishment felt like arguing with a wall that had already decided its own shape. For Carol's 70th birthday, Ivy asked if she could cook the entire dinner herself, no help, a full 6-course menu she'd been planning for weeks. I said yes immediately, partly because I loved the idea, and partly because I hadn't told Ivy the actual reason her request had come at exactly the right moment. 3 weeks earlier, I'd been contacted by the admissions coordinator at Kessler Culinary Institute, one of the most competitive culinary programs in the region, where Ivy had applied for their early acceptance mentorship track months before. The admissions coordinator explained that, as part of final evaluation for a small number of exceptional applicants, they occasionally arranged an informal, unannounced tasting. A faculty member would attend a real family meal the student had prepared, observing not just technique, but composure under normal, unstaged circumstances. Ivy's application had been strong enough to warrant one. I'd agreed to the arrangement and told no one, including Ivy, because the program specifically requested the environment stay completely natural. The evaluator, a quiet, observant woman named Professor Alvarez, arrived that Saturday evening, introduced simply as a friend of mine from work, exactly as the program had instructed. Ivy had been cooking since 10 that morning, and by 6 o'clock, the table held a full spread: a beet and goat cheese salad, a braised short rib, a lemon herb risotto, and a cake she'd rebuilt twice that week until the layers sat exactly right. Carol walked in at 6:15, took one look at the table, and said, "Oh, Renee, I thought we discussed the restaurant reservation. This all looks very sweet, sweetheart, but I'd rather not do a big sit-down meal tonight. My back's been bothering me. We'll celebrate at the restaurant instead." She was already reaching for her coat. Ivy, standing at the stove, still holding a serving spoon, went very quiet. The specific quiet of a kid absorbing a rejection they're trying hard not to let show. "I made your favorite, Grandma. The short rib, like you had in Tuscany." Carol waved a hand. "It's lovely, sweetheart, truly, but Marcus made reservations already, and I don't want to waste them." She left, just like that, out the door toward a car already idling in the driveway, leaving a full evaluated meal and a heartbroken 17-year-old standing in the kitchen. Professor Alvarez hadn't moved from her seat at the table. She looked at me, then at Ivy, then quietly asked if she could still try what had been made, since it would be a shame to let it go to waste. I nodded, watching Ivy's face slowly shift from crushed to cautiously composed as she began plating a portion for a stranger she still believed was just my coworker. Professor Alvarez tasted the short rib first, then the risotto, taking her time, asking Ivy detailed technical questions about her braising liquid, her risotto stirring technique, the citrus balance in her cake, questions no ordinary family friend would think to ask. Ivy answered everyone clearly, confidently, the nervousness in her voice fading into the easy authority she has whenever she's actually talking about food. I watched Professor Alvarez take notes on her phone between bites, and I realized, watching my daughter's composure hold steady even after being publicly dismissed by her own grandmother 20 minutes earlier, that this evening might end up meaning more than any of us, except me, understood yet. 2 weeks later, Ivy received an email from Kessler Culinary Institute. She read it standing in our kitchen and screamed loud enough that I came running from the other room, certain something was wrong, only to find her holding her laptop with both hands, crying and laughing at the same time. She'd been accepted into the mentorship track, one of only 12 students statewide, with a note from Professor Alvarez specifically citing her composure and technical skill during an informal evaluation dinner as a deciding factor. I told Carol about the acceptance at a family gathering a few weeks later, and I made sure to mention clearly and without softening it exactly what that dinner actually been. The woman you called my coworker was evaluating Ivy for one of the most competitive culinary programs in the state. She'd spent all day preparing a meal specifically for that evaluation, and you walked out 15 minutes in because your back was bothering you and Marcus had reservations. Carol's face went through several stages, confusion first, then something closer to genuine shock. "I didn't know," she said. "You didn't ask," I said. "You've never once asked what any of it actually means to her." Carol was quiet for a long moment, and I watched something shift behind her eyes, the particular discomfort of realizing you've spent years underestimating something you never bothered to examine closely. "I always assumed it was a phase," she admitted, quieter than I'd heard her in years. "The soccer trophies were easier to understand. I didn't know how to take her seriously." "She's been serious the entire time, Mom. You just decided a long time ago what counted as impressive and never left room for anything that didn't look exactly like that." Carol asked, hesitantly, a few weeks later, if Ivy would cook for her again sometime, properly this time. No reservations pulling her early away. Ivy agreed, cautiously at first, and the dinner that followed was smaller, quieter, but real. Carol stayed the entire time. She asked questions, actual questions, about technique and ingredients and the culinary program, taking notes on her phone the way Professor Alvarez once had. It wasn't a complete transformation. Terrell still occasionally reverts to old habits, mentioning Marcus's kid's latest trophy before remembering to ask about Ivy's latest dish. But she's trying now, in a way she never used to, and Ivy notices the difference, even when it's imperfect. I think about that Saturday often, the image of my daughter standing at the stove, quietly heartbroken, still finding the composure to plate a dish for a stranger while her own grandmother's car pulled out of the driveway. Kids notice exactly who takes their efforts seriously and who doesn't, long before we think they're paying attention. Has someone in your family ever dismissed something you worked hard on, only to find out later exactly what they'd walked away from? Tell me about it in the comments. I read everyone. And if this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear that effort is never actually wasted, even when it goes unnoticed in the moment. This is Renee, and this has been Revenge of Betrayal. Remember, the truth doesn't need you to raise your voice. Sometimes it just needs someone to finally taste what was on the table all along.